Hello everyone and welcome back to the Nascar Cup Series channel. I decided to make this video just because why not? It's about to be July 4th. I think we'll make the stop motion next weekend. So it'll be after the 4th of July for the 4th of July race, quote unquote. But I've seen a lot of this on Twitter where they rank their favorite races from yada 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 yada. So it goes from, like, let's say they like Daytona the best and they hated Talladega the worst. It goes from all the races that we raced this year. And I'm not going to be biased in this one, but let's get into this. Starting off, we have the LA Clash, which I don't think this race is bad. I'm not trying to be biased because Trix won a non-points race, but I just want to say I think this race was all right. I did not get to watch last year's when it raced, but I do think it was a little bit better with the highlights and stuff than last year's race. So on the 1 out of 10 schedule, I get it about 7 out of 10. The Daytona 500, an iconic stable in NASCAR. It kicks off the season, but lately in the past few seasons we've been having some underdog winners, which doesn't make it bad, but the fact that underdog winners to the last 3 years, the driver that went on to win the Daytona 500 won their first ever NASCAR race in the 500. Kind of puts a little salt to the wound, and it's kind of lost a lot of its jazz, in my opinion. But this race was still very solid. You had your typical Fox moments when they went to a break when this wreck was going on. And the cause of the finish was very mid, to say the least, but it was a great finish. I don't want Clint Boyer's commentary to ruin some finish that was pretty good in the long run. You got a very good finish. Caution came out. I feel like if the race to the line, a Bell probably would have won it. But Ricky Stenhouse Jr. ended up taking home the checkered flag in the 2023 Daytona 500 to kick off the season. Now, where do I rank this race? Well, rank it 1 through 10. It's about an 8. It's a very solid race, a very solid racing, but the wrecks weren't all quite there, but it was a pretty good race, so 8 out of 10 for me. Auto Club, I love this track so much, and it kind of pains me to see that they turn into a short track that we don't need, but out of 1 through 10, it had the best racing that Auto Club usually provides. Probably not as good as 2022's one, but it was very solid, and to see Kyle Busch win, I don't even care for Kyle Busch, but it was still a very solid race. So 1 through 10, I have to rank it, in all seriousness, a 10 out of 10. It was a great fucking race. For the next race on our list, it's Las Vegas, and this race really gave me flashbacks to the 550. The racing wasn't bad, but Byron was just fucking gone, and I hate Byron. I'm not trying to be biased, but this race is pretty much a snoozer. 4 out of 10 for me. Need I say no more? Now, the paint scheme Byron ran was badass as fuck, so that's another good thing. But other than that, race was pretty boring. The overtime finish was bullshit, and it cost Martin a lot of spots that he should have had. So, and then again, a 4 out of 10. Going to a track I cannot fucking stand for the life of me. I've always hated Phoenix ever since I became a NASCAR fan. The racing's always been pretty mid with the Gen 6, and the next gen ain't even saving it. And the idea of taking the championship race to this very mid track really, really grinds my gears. I cannot stand this track. Build a Walmart by it. But by all means, the race, I'm not even going to say the racing, but the race in general was pretty mid. Nothing happened. But the thing that really pissed me off the most about this race was the finish. I feel like Kevin Harvick had this race won if Harrison Burton's tire did not cabobulate, and I really wish Harvick won this race in his final season. He's got a few more chances, but that was probably his last dance at Phoenix. And finishing it off is William Byron winning. I cannot stand William Byron, like I said. So this race is easily a 2 out of 10. Does not do it for me. Do not watch this race again. This race sucked. And I'm going back to the next race. Hot Atlanta. Okay, so this track with the Speedway, I don't hate the idea necessarily. I miss the old one, but this race was a lot of train racing, and it wasn't the best, but the finish was all right. I got to say, though, I hate it for Brad. I was there for his final, as of now, NASCAR Cup Series win at Talladega in 2021, And Brad's came so close, and this was one that kind of got away. And even Martin finishing like dog shit really kind of ruffled my feathers the wrong way. I feel like Brad had this race won if he blocked right, but congrats to Joey on getting the run and moving it straight. I'm glad this race did not end up with 5 different BS overtimes. That's one of my big hits of these new seasons. Anyway, this race is solid for 5 out of 10. Going to the next race, we got Coda. Now, what I remember, this road course race was not that bad. It was way leaps and bounds better than the first 2, but it was still pretty road course racing. I feel like the next gen car is kind of dull at road courses this year, but it wasn't a bad showing as we got last year. The only thing that I cannot stand about this race, and I'm glad they took away cautions during the stage cautions, but I feel like they need to stop having overtimes at road courses because, one, you know it's going to lead to miles and miles and miles and miles of just overtimes and destroyed race cars. And Tyler Reddick did race his ass off to this win. So I guess I'm going to give it like a 6 out of 10. It was all right, but I'm not going to go back and rewatch this in a few years. Richmond, I didn't get to watch this race. This was like, I got my job between this week, so, I know I was not working on that Sunday, but I do remember that this race was all right. I heard it on the radio. I went to the mountain. I'm kind of still pretty pissed that Martin didn't even get a top 10 for this race. But like I said, I'm not going to be biased. I think this race, what I've seen from clips, is kind of like last spring's race, where it's more of a strategy-based racetrack. So I guess I'm going to give it, if I'm going to base it off of what I saw last year, about a 7 out of 10. It wasn't probably the best, but probably not the worst. And Larson's burnout kind of made up for it, too. As a devout Christian, I cannot stand the fact that NASCAR wants to race on Easter Sunday when everybody else does not do anything on Easter Sunday. And I get it, like, yeah, but at the same time, it's like, it's not gonna fucking work, man. Easter Sunday races barely worked last year. It's not gonna work this year. It's not gonna work in the future.
Would Jesus Christ have raced on Easter? NASCAR pulled off the Bristol Dirt Race on Easter once again, and even had Tim Tebow show up to the celebration. Being out on the grid on Sunday, you could see it all over drivers' faces. They did not want to be there. On the flip side, it presents a very unique opportunity for fans. The ability to drink beer at church. Imagine double fisting 2 brewskis while you're getting to listen to Tim Tebow talk about 1 Corinthians. There's nowhere else in the world that you're going to get to do that. All jokes aside, I really hope to see NASCAR deter away from Easter Sunday just for the sake of the drivers getting to spend time with their families. But for the fans, you can be absolutely obliterated while singing "How Great Is Our God" outside of the track. I guess the ultimate question is this: is this where you want to be when Jesus comes back?
The only thing that saved this race from not being lower than a 4 was one of my favorite drivers, Bell, winning. But like I said, I don't want to be biased, so I only watched about 20 laps anyway. 5 out of 10, I guess. I don't know. Go on to the next race. I was at work, so I give this a I don't know out of 10. The Talladega Super Speedway race. I went to this race, and I did post the Xfinity blog, and I did have a Cup Series vlog, but I didn't post it. And for you guys that are still far in this video, please let me know if you want to get it, because I don't know if I should post it or not. I'm kind of running out of content, and part of me wish I uploaded it then, but it's too lazy to upload it at the time, and I had to work a lot. So anyway, what I viewed, it was a lot of too wide racing, and as a guy that said the Saturday race was cold. Saturday was fucking cold, and the only thing that made this race pretty cool is seeing my favorite drivers, Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, and Truex lead, which, like I said, I don't want to be biased, but I think this race is pretty solid. I'll give it about a 8 out of 10. Pretty solid Talladega race. May 1st, 2023. A day I think I'll never forget. Like I've been saying multiple times in this video, I'm trying my best not to be biased, but I think I got to be a little bit biased on this one. I remember being at school and not only watching about 15, 20 laps in Stage 2. I didn't watch the finish. I didn't watch my boy take the checkered flag, but tell you one thing, though. Outside of school, when the bell rang and we was outside, I jumped up in joy, man. I never screamed so happy in my life. I cried that night, man. I cried so happily. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a man. When my driver wins, I go back to rewatch that race, and I watched it from start to finish. And even before Martin started kicking ass, I don't think the race was that bad. I think it was pretty decent. I mean, the two Dover races that we've seen, and I only saw a little bit of last year's one with this next gen, wasn't bad. So I think Dover, honestly and truthfully, let's take away Martin Truex Jr.'s win and give it to like Larson or Chastain. Still a pretty solid like 7 out of 10. Not bad. But I got to throw a little bit of bias in there. It had to be a 7 out of 10. Nope. 9 out of 10 all the way. Martin Truex Jr.'s victory, 9 out of 10. This is one race I'm kind of pissed off they put me on the schedule to work that Sunday for, because everybody's saying that Kansas 2023 is one of the best NASCAR races to ever take place. And just a few seasons ago, this track didn't mean shit to fans. The next gen has really saved this track a lot. But what I've seen from highlights and clips, this racing was not the worst. And I feel like it's a pretty good race. And as a man who has to go off of word of mouth, choice, and highlighted videos, I think it's a great race. And the finish cracks me up to this day. I cannot stand Kyle Larson. And I like Denny Hamlin, but that finish, man, that was a pretty good finish right there. I feel like it was a good race, solid racing. And what I saw, I'll rate it a 10 out of 10. Fuck it. I haven't watched the race from start to finish, but I know this was a good race. 10 out of 10 of Kansas 2023. Here's one race that I was at work for yet again. I think the throwbacks this year were amazing. For Darlington, I don't think the race was bad. I didn't get to really watch it. It does leave a little sour taste in my mouth what happened to Martin, because he should have won about like all the fucking next gen races at Darlington. But hey, you can't complain, so I gotta rate it like a 8 out of 10. Pretty solid. Hate the finish though. Let's take a look at some of the epic highlights from the North Wilkesboro All-Star Race. This race sucked massive balls. 0 out of 10. Hate this race. And from the worst race to the best race. This race right here, hands down, easily good. The last two Coke 600s have been one of the best Coke 600s I've ever seen in my eyes. The passing, this race track is brought back to life with this next gen. This is easily a 10 out of 10. It will put the cherry on top. Was the Penske sweep. I'm an IndyCar fan now, and I'm a Newgarden fan, and loving to see Newgarden win the Indy 500. I love just as well to see that Penske boy take the checkered flag on Ryan Blaney. Sometimes you find something better to do than watch a boring race at Gateway. Exactly what I did. I hung out with my buddy, but yeah, this race was alright. The highlights I saw, so I guess about a 5 out of 10. It's alright. Like I said, I don't want to be biased, and I'll be honest with you. I agree with you. This race was pretty fucking mid. Next gen kind of killed a little bit of street racing in the road courses, but gotta rate it. Even without Truex's win, this is about like a fucking 4 out of 10, 3 out of 10. So not the best. Oh yeah, and by the way, I rewatched the whole thing. So I'm gonna just say this right now. Toyota fumbled this race bad. It should have been any Toyota in the field to win this race. And the fact that it was Ross Chastain finally winning, just kind of left a sour taste in my mouth. This whole race, this entire time, it gave me flashbacks to the 550. I mean, watching Martin's R1 camera gave me flashbacks to Kevin Harvick 2020 Kansas. I mean, this race was just absolutely pitiful, terrible. 2 out of 10. Now, with the most recent race that we've ever had, the Chicago Street Course, and I think NASCAR handled this very well. It wasn't the best racing, but you did get it, and it wasn't like spread out like Sonoma or Coda was. It was really racy. You just had to have and track position was key. That's something that 2023 has been reigning, is track position being key. But I think it was a pretty good race. I'm gonna rate it about a 9 out of 10. It was pretty fucking solid, and seeing that Heisenberg fellow win made it a whole lot better. Even though it was an American dude winning on the 4th of July weekend, I think it was a pretty cool win in and of itself. Badass weekend, and I think NASCAR did the best they could, and they hit it out of the park. Let's just say that. Well, there you have it. The first 19 races of this season, I'm pretty sure we've had not as much parity, which I think made this season a whole lot better than last season. But I think I got to rank my races. Number 1 on the list, I got to easily put Kansas. You had the passing, it had the racing, had everything, and it had a very good finish to knock it off the park. I think Kansas was easily a 10 out of 10, first one on my list. The next one, I got to say, the Coca-Cola 600. I mean, you have all the thrilling highlights and Penske sweeps. Joseph Newgarden in Indy on Sunday, Ryan Blaney on Monday. I mean, it feels like it came out of a movie, and the racing was some of the best we've seen with this next gen. I'm not the biggest Blaney fan, but I'm just gonna say this right here. I love that win. So easily 10 out of 10, number 2 on our list. Number 3 on this list, I have to put one of my favorite NASCAR Cup Series tracks. That's Auto Club. I hate to see it go. I really do. But I think this race is pretty solid. I don't even care for Kyle Busch. Like I said earlier in this video, I used to be a big fan of him, but his fans kind of made me turn against him. But I think this race is pretty solid. Still a 10 out of 10. So that's number 3 on this list. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching and looking at my list. I know 95% of y'all ain't going to agree with this because I don't really give a fuck about Hendrick Motorsports. Anyway, if you will, please leave a like, subscribe for more. Until next time, have a good one.